The current date is the 23rd of September 2004. I am Dr. Yinkin of Redacted Company. Today we will be going through the research of the test subject known as Ghoul. Subject: Soldier number 3154 Private Peter Terryson, now referred as Ghoul. Age: 30 years old. The private was a part of our third company's task force known as the Cult Watch. They were tasked with the search and destruction of cult-like activities before they became too large or summoned something eldritch. This private was believed to be dead in action several weeks ago after a failed attempt at stopping the risen cult. This cult are known followers of an old god that wishes to turn the world into undead subjects. The subject was recovered from an abandoned monastery in Redacted Mountains. The subject was noted to be sluggish in movements until the current team found him, to which he attacked and killed several in a blind rage, exhibiting increased speed and strength within the rage. Bullets and physical attacks did nothing to stop the subject. Only when electrical means were used was the team able to subdue the test subject and transport him here for further research on the cult activities. The subject's appearance has been drastically changed from his current ID badge. Notably, his skin has become a dull green color. The texture has molded into something we see in the older stages of life, old and wrinkled with a baggy effect. His eyes have taken on a bloodshot appearance, with his teeth changing to match more of a canine appearance. His hands have taken on more of a claw-like structure, with the fingernails elongated into needle-like points. Strange runes have been crudely carved into the top side of each hand. The current origin is unknown and currently being researched. His current condition can only be described as undeath. He currently has no heartbeat and all bodily functions attributed to life having ceased. Following this, the subject has no sense of being left, only acting as if in a dazed state. The subject still remains in company uniform consistent with the military branch associated with the company he was assigned to. Though it should be noted to be in a state of disarray associated with the subject's current condition. Collected from the subject's attire on containment. A diary noting down the last 5 days of the subject's free will. I.D card which we use to identify the subject. I am going to read through the subject's diary now and add my analysis of each day. This will allow us to further gain how the cult tends to each person they have captured and methods used for the ghouling process. Day 1. I don't know where I am. I have woke up very confused. It looks like I'm in a dark cage. My radio and service weapons have all been stripped from me. My head is killing me at the moment. The mission must have been a failure. All I can remember was storming in with guns raised, then something hitting my head, and I woke up in this cage. I am going to be writing everything down, as I suspect I'll not be making it out of here. This cult is too well known for people going missing. Currently I can hear low chanting in the distance, and looking down at my hands they have carved some form of glyphs into them. Strangely, there is no pain from the wound site. Researcher's notes: it seems there has been a time skip between entries in the diary, such as explained further. Day 1 continued. This is messed up. Not long after I wrote here last, 2 cultists came down and started a strange chant. The glyphs started to burn, and it was like I wasn't myself. I had an out-of-body experience. As they lit up, I could hear a deep voice in my head telling me to walk. From this out-of-body experience, I had finally seen a glimpse of myself. I had changed. My skin had started to sag. My eyes started to sink in. My hands had started to warp, my fingers getting longer and sharper. It was not good to witness myself starting to change. Even better, I don't know what I am being changed into. The cult member led me into a big hall where the chanting had been coming from, a makeshift altar to a dark twisted being carved from stone. The best I could make out from the candle-lit room was a demonic wolf. I could have sworn the eyes were scanning the room. As the cultist chanted in a strange dialect, a dark figure came to the head of the altar and spoke. The gods of many changes truly gifts us this day dash. You see here with this unworthy creature, it has been lifted into higher purpose. His body gives way to our great one's power dash. He will serve him and help change this world in his likeness. As his ghoul he will carve the unworthy from his presence. Rejoice, brothers, rejoice. The head cultist was referring to me in a manic state. His demeanor screamed crazy and demented. From there the rest of the cultists turned to look at me, scanning me up and down like a show pony at some carnival. Researchers' notes. This first entry, we can see the subject displays signs of confusion and compulsion. We also see from the start that the effects of ghouling set rather rapidly and the compulsion is able to be forced telepathically. Day 2. I feel different. I didn't sleep at all last night. I didn't feel tired. Though I did feel myself fall in and out of reality almost as if I was daydreaming too long, I have also started to involuntarily make grunts and snarls. My movements have started to become heavy, almost like I am walking through deep snow. Looking at my hands, my nails and fingers have grown more dash. They almost look like claws now. I have noticed more whispering in the distance. I can't tell if it is real or just in my head dash, but it is getting too much at this point. I can't tell what's real anymore. They brought another living person into my cell today, a young man. He couldn't have been more than 20 years old. Even now he is sitting in the furthest corner of the cell watching me write, his eyes looking on in terror dash. I tried to talk to him, but all that came out was grunts and snarls, which added to the young man's fears. The cultists made a strange bow to me as they brought him in, silently chanting as they did, but as I first looked at the man dash, that deep whisper started in my head with one word, kill. Any time I look at him it repeats over and over again. I took a lunge at him with a snarl, only it wasn't me. My body started to work on its own as a deep ring came from inside my head, as the man screamed out in terror dash. I managed to hold myself back for now. He just sits whimpering for the most part while I try not to look at him. I'm scared I won't be able to hold back for long. My head keeps ringing with the whispers. Researchers' notes. We see the subject beginning what we can only describe as imposter syndrome. He currently doesn't feel himself within his own body dash. Due to the effects of ghouling we note the physical and mental changes, elongating of the fingernails and such. Following on, I believe that the subject was in the starting effects of a hive mind dash. The whispering he describes is an attempt to break him down and subjugate him. With the offer of a living person, we see that the cult is attempting to speed up the ghouling process by forcing the subject into an induced rage dash. Notably, the subject was attempting to resist the change, pulling himself out of forced control. Day 3. I killed him. Oh God, I killed the young man. During the night I felt myself slip away. This time when I came to, I was covered in blood and gore. Feasting on the young man's arm, his lifeless eyes glued to me as his face was twisted into a mix of horror and pain dash. I had ripped his stomach and throat open in that other state. As I backed up in horror, my hands trembled dash. I felt a deep pressure come over my head as a dark twisted laughter rang out within my thoughts, followed by one word, good. Researchers' notes. This day continues on below after another moderate time skip between entries. It seems the subject had managed to calm himself and return to a militaristic tone of writing. Day 3 continued. I witnessed what they did to me. Not long after the previous incident, 2 cultists came into my cage again, with the same chanting as before dash. The symbols on my hands lit up as I was led away. We made our way into that great hall, the low chanting still going on. Though this time I got a better look at the hall, I could tell from the walls that it had been a religious monastery. But I couldn't tell which religion, as the paintings and depictions had either worn or been ripped from the walls. The chanting cultist had formed 2 rings around the altar, under each of them a circle with strange symbols etched into the ground. This time on the altar dash lay a woman. By looking at her, she was still alive but unconscious dash. Not long after we had entered the room, the head cultist made his way to the altar, calling out once more. Here, look, an unworthy soul lays before us. We shall begin the ritual. Allow our grateful master to take her into his embrace so she will enforce his rule and rightful claim to this world. As he said this, he pulled an ancient-looking jar from his robes. It reminded me of a jar you see ancient Greeks use for serving wine and the likes. Only this jar had several larger symbols carved into the outside of it dash. The head cultist sat it down beside her, pulling a strange dagger from his belt. From what I could make out, the blade was black, leading into a hilt made of some form of gold, with a strange jewel adorning the pommel. From there he kneeled beside her and carved the same symbols into her hands as he did dash, chanting in that strange language with it. The girl did not move or react while he was cutting. She almost seemed stiff as a board. Not long after the head cultist stood up, the whole group of cultists began to chant violently, bowing back and forth. The symbols lit up with a strange white glow as the girl began violently screaming and convulsing. A strange blue mist started to flow from her lips and into the jar beside her. After several minutes, the chanting came to an abrupt stop, with the head cultist holding his hands up for silence, speaking once more. It is complete. This unworthy soul has been offered to the Great One. Now she has received his great power to finally bring order to this unworthy plane of existence. The head cultist lifted the jar as he sat it at the feet of the statue behind him, bowing in its presence. With that, the blue mist began to flow upwards, almost like a reverse waterfall, into the statue's mouth, the eyes glowing an intense red. The girl's body began to almost deflate, her skin aging rapidly, the symbols almost sinking into place on top of her hands. I can't remember this happening to me. What is that blue mist? Researcher's notes. While the subject is confused with the blue mist, we have research on the process. We refer to it as soul splitting. While some part goes to the cultist's god, part of the soul remains, keeping the ghouls in a state of autonomy. With such going on the subject's diary, we can see that the final part of the host is slowly driven mad or removed. Moving on to the subject. Though his account of the ghouling process has given us a vital look into the method, we can see the subject going through a loss of reality dash, with the subject phasing in and out of consciousness, akin to split personality disorder, allowing the ghoul to take over and act out and attack any host that is not protected by the god's influence, such as the cultist. Day 4. I came to dash. This day I was finishing off the young man, but this time I enjoyed it. His flesh was so inviting, it makes me want more, to consume more. The young woman who was put through the ritual was moved into a cage across from me. Just as I finished licking that delicious blood from the floor, I noticed the whisper and the chanting ever louder in my head as I eyed her. A soft growl came from me almost. It was almost like I was protecting my kill. Not long after she awoke, several grunts and groans as she scurried to the back of her cage on looking at my twisted form. I could do nothing but stare at her, grunting and growling at her once more. The confusing look on her face seemed all too familiar, as I had gone through the same emotions. Looking at her form, it gave me a better look at what I first looked like on day 1. The fingers looked half twisted and painful, her eyes fluttering between human and the ghoul eyes. The whispering has begun to increase as a deep voice utters single words in my head. Kill, consume, rage. These words are the ones repeated the most. I know they are just in my head, but each time my head snaps to where I think the whispering is coming from, followed by a deep and violent growl. Researcher's notes. We see here that the more beast-like side of the personality come out, the subject grows closer to submission to the subjugation. We see this through the subject willingly consuming flesh then and enjoying the taste, then craving more. We suspect as the subject's mind starts to slip that the Ghoul side becomes more of the dominant personality as the two sides start to meld into one being. It should also be noted that the subject's handwriting has begun to regress, the style of writing becoming more scratchy. This would be something we see in a grade school level. Day 5. I can't hold dash kill it back. T the whispers consume. T tell family hunger love them. Want flesh. Researchers note. It is quite evident that the subject has fully given in by this point, even from within the writing, the Ghoul personality showing itself more as the writing is even more scratchy during the kill parts and so forth. From this account we can see that in the subject's mental state that it takes 5 days for the Ghoul to fully take over and become the dominant personality. With such we cannot exactly say if it will be the same with every individual. Several factors such as sex, age and mental stability play into the process. The subject in front of me will be executed shortly. This will give us insight into the best ways to quickly and effectively put down ghouls. From such the remains will be taken by the research and countermeasures team to give insight to the genetic makeup of the Ghoul, seeing what properties and changes occur on the DNA during the ghouling pro-dash. Wait, the subject's symbols have just lit up. Oh God, he is trying to break free. He's trying to break the containment field, it's starting to give way. His manic state, the glass is cracking, oh God, no. No. Quick activate Protocol 6, containment failure, we need the containment team, breach. Brea.